Fish girls need love too. Andrew, and this is Katie's Toys. Today on MIA 80s Ladies, we're talking about Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. Mouthful of a name and mouthful of a property. It was something I love. It's something that I thought was beloved likewise and well known. I was very wrong. Visionaries came out around 1987. It had a very short 13-episode first season. Only 12 episodes were good. You know which one. And it had a action figure line, likewise, very short one wave wonder, shortly after the cartoon was canceled. So basically both had a very short lifespan. What it's about is a journey. It's set on a planet called Prismos, which is in the future, and everything's very high-tech. And then there's some sort of solar eclipse where all the technology just cans out. And then some dude named Merklin says, hey, I'm a magician, magic's back. And if you want that magic, you gotta go through my death maze, and the survivors can get my magic. Because I'm a little trickster god, a little chaotic neutral imp, you need to do errands for me in order to recharge your magic. And so these two factions kind of fight each other, but also are forced to team up with each other. Likewise, the powers they receive are overly complicated. Each character has a totem on their chest that in the toys was reflected by a hologram. All animals, some exist, some don't. They could transform themselves into that animal, but also some of them had big, awkward staffs that had another hologram thing on it, and they could do a whole other magical thing. And then the other people who didn't have staffs could actually use their magic to power the technology that had since failed them. It's a lot. This is where we get to our two ladies we're covering today. Typically, I don't like to do a twofer, but these two are so intertwined between their powers, the rivalry, and how they were done dirty. We're going to have to do Galadria and Virulina in one package, and it's a real shame. The cartoon and the toys seem to want to create rivalries between hero and villain characters. Sometimes it was very obvious between, say, the leaders or the big muscle heads. Other times it was more vague. It was sort of a crapshoot of what the actual rivalry was. With the women, they were women. You couldn't have men punching women or women punching men. So you had to have a good girl and a bad girl, and they needed to be rivals because women be women. Likewise, their powers were intrinsically linked. During this whole death maze thing, the two of them got into a little scrap, they fell in the water, they had to beat each other up and survive underwater, and as such, Merklin gave them both the animal totems of a dolphin and a shark, making them the only underwater Visionaries. Weirdly enough, most of the characters who didn't have a staff could power ships, other technology that has since been abandoned. The two women in the cartoon never did this, so what had happened is that in the Marvel Star comics, they were given additional powers. Each of them had a shield. Galadria had a shield of healing, Virulina had a shield of disease. You would meet Virulina on Saturday night, you would see Galadria Monday morning. That's the combo. Two quick fun facts about these characters. One is that Virulina is seen very early in the first episode as a newscaster, proving that they are in fact evil. The other is that Galadria is voiced by Sue Blue, who is notorious amongst MIA 80s ladies. Obviously, as we've seen before, women were not going to be in the first wave, because this was Hasbro, this was the late 80s, it was never going to happen, especially not two, and especially if you had to have them as a package deal. The assumption was that they would have been, brought out in Wave 2. However, it took some years, but we finally did see what would have been Wave 2 had the line been successful. It is much more robust, a lot more vehicles, a lot more characters. Fun fact, all of them still white. However, what was apparent was that Virulina and Galadria were not there. But worse, there was a character named Hydron who had a dolphin hologram on his chest. It had an exposed brain, but was a dolphin nevertheless. And it was a huge FU to Galadria and basically saying they were never going to be included. Since then, Hasbro hasn't really done a lot with Visionaries. They've sort of popped up here and there. I think Leoric had a Mighty Mug back when that was a thing in 2017. they were trying to do a sort of shared universe between G.I. Joe, Transformers, and all the other properties they weren't using, Visionaries included. And Leoric did pop up in a Comic-Con exclusive box set. Likewise, there was a brief IDW comic with Visionaries vs. Transformers a year after that. Since then, radio silence. Like I said at the top, I thought this line was beloved by people, and it's not. And I need to come to terms with that, and I can't really expect anything to be done with the property. That said, being a mega fan at one point in my life, I had made customs. I had commissioned several people to create heads, shields, armor, repaint, a kit bash version of other Visionaries to create my own customs of them. I have since sold these because they are finicky. The customs are finicky. The Visionaries toys themselves were finicky, and it's too much. It's too much cleaning. So in terms of MIA 80s Ladies Go, this is probably one of the worst case scenarios where they were prominent in the cartoon, were never even considered for the toy line, and then likewise the entire toy line itself has not been made since. So these are just languishing out there in the ether. Maybe never to be made again. So on that downer, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think of Visionaries, if you would like the recipe for the customs I've made, if you don't even know what these are but you need a watch a list, let me know, and I will see you next time on Gatey's Toys.